How do you define success in career and life? Not an easy question, but John.
Okay, so I sort of want to be like Stewart. So I don't know if when Stewart was kind enough to make the introductions of everybody. Stewart's a MacArthur fellow, right? He's one of those certified geniuses, so let's all recognize that about Stewart. In that, for me, that's being creative, that's being inspirational, that's being what Charlie talked about, being out of the box. So I define success as being authentic or true to yourself at your best, right? Because you can be authentic and well, I'll speak for me. You can have a bad side at times, right? You can be not at your best. So for me, success is growing, doing the best thing so that I am physically, spiritually, intellectually, from a soul perspective, being at my best and that's how I reconcile being happy. Now that's a challenge. Over a period of time, I wasn't in full recognition of what I wanted to be, who I wanted to be. It took me a long time to get to the place where I wanted to be. And for a lot of you that may be here, you have questions about your career or things that you're doing. And so I always try to encourage people, you may not be in the spot which fully taps into everything you want to be, but take advantage of what's available to you. So when I was young in my career and after I graduated from law school, I was working at the Internal Revenue Service. And while it was intellectually challenging, I was emotionally starved because I wasn't dealing with a lot of people. I didn't feel I was changing lives, I was making a difference. So I'd volunteer for organizations, and I was volunteering all my extra hours doing things. I think I was involved with 20 nonprofits just trying to get pieces that were helping me to grow, including volunteer for the Legal Center. Stewart was great back then, and so I was doing, oh, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to use the mic. So one of the things is I wanted to do legal work that helped people, and so the Legal Center was terrific in that they provided training and we would go argue and do administrative hearings. So that's one of the things I just want to leave with you to encourage you to do. Even though what you may be doing now is not perfect, look for other things that tap into who you want to be and what will make you feel better.
Can I jump in?
Please.
I mean, I'd love to break the rules, right? but this is a perfect opportunity to ask John this question. You know, a couple of weeks ago, you were the newsmaker. You were the newsmaker. You were on every television station, newspaper, whatever, throughout California, but not the whole country. And I'm sure the pressure was tremendous. Can you share with us how you handle that, how you prepare for something like that?
So, for those of you who aren't familiar with the decision, the voters of California passed Proposition 25 last year, which provided that if the legislature did not pass a budget by June 15th, the legislators would forfeit their pay beginning on June 16th. So we went through this and we checked with a lot of sources and we did a legal analysis. And so you analyze it to the best of your legal ability. We bring in other people. So obviously you want to have a sound process in place because whatever your decision's going to be, you are going to be, as I had a conversation with Governor Brown, he was very funny, right? That's not funny from my side. He said, John, he said, whatever you decide on this issue, you're going to be punished. So one half is going to really hate you or the other half is going to hate you. And right now I'm the most unpopular man in Sacramento. And it's painful from a personal perspective because a lot of them were friends, right? And I had a legislator and others who say, if you make this decision against you, we're not going to be friends, right? And so at that point, I just said, okay, right, if they're going to judge me on this decision, right, and they're not going to trust my abilities, they were never friends in the first place. So you just have to accept that. Part of that is, you have to understand the entire process. How do we communicate with the media? How do we communicate with the legislature? Are we fair in the process? And you have to understand that people have their biases. And so however you come down and land on a position, people are going to attack you. Now, I'm a man of faith, right? I'm not a good Catholic from many perspectives, but one of the things is try to make the best decision the first time around, because you're going to have to live with it time and time again, right? So whether it's who you dated, how you treated people, how you made a decision in business, always give your best, because live your conscience. That's what I try to do. And so I walked in church on Thursday, right, make the decision earlier in that week, and I'm listening to a sermon at Our Lady of the Angels, and the sermon by the priest who's it's his next to last mass said in some passage, is it was what you did true or false, and were you reliable and trustworthy before God, right? And I said yes, because that's how, and I said I'm okay with myself, right? As painful and as punishing as they're going to exact revenge in the political process, all you can do is your very best.
Well, thank you.
Hey. Well, I have to forewarn you, Stewart kind of cheated and sent us these questions ahead of time.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. But at the same time, I was thinking last night, I'm like, well, I don't have an answer. So, I think if you ask the question of success when I was 18 versus when I was 28 versus 38 versus, well, let's not go down how old I am, that answer might change, and that's okay, and that's okay. And I think as I thought about it, and I'd like to believe I still have a career in the future, at least where I'm at right now, what I felt, there were three things I think that, how you define success. It's passion. I don't care what you do, do you actually enjoy it? Do you love it? Do you thrive by it? It could be the most minor thing. I know it sounds crazy, I'm telling you this crazy story, but our office is gonna move in 2 months. And I had an accounting person that was so excited and volunteering to pack all the boxes because she loves organizing things, and so when I mean passion, it doesn't mean that you have to have this, your passion could be anything, but you have to have it, I think, truly, when you see these guys talk and you talk to some of these committee managers, it doesn't matter whether you have 1 million Burger Kings or whatever, but you have passion for your business. You thrive on it. Not every day is going to be perfect. Not every job is perfect, but you actually love what you do, and it doesn't matter what you do. And I'm saying this also when it comes to money, because I know a lot of people would like to make money, and in our committee we have a lot of people that make a lot of money, but it's not about money. It's about what's your passion, what makes you feel good, what makes you what drives you. And that is, I think, what's going to get you to whatever your definition of success is. 2 other things, and then one is what John touched on, is integrity. You have to be good, true to yourself. In my business, it's not necessarily so, clean, and everybody fights tooth or nail, and there's no black and white about how to climb the ladder. And some people do more schmoozing and some people do more working. And I've gone through myself times of, okay, do I schmooze like that guy and get a great credit, but yet I know how to do nothing? Or do I go my own path? And I decided to take my own path and work hard and put your head down and work hard, and hopefully the work will prevail. And that's what I'll feel good about walking away with. I remember going to my first Sundance Film Festival, and my assistant was with me, and she's like, how come the other assistant's out there skiing and you're making me work till 10 o'clock at night? And that's a good question. You have to decide, which one do you want to be? Do you want to be schmoozing and maybe climb the ladder, but yet you have nothing to back it up with? Or do you want to work hard and learn something? So you have to find, and there's not one right or wrong answer. It's what you feel good about and your integrity and what you feel you can live with. And the third thing I'd say is, and my business works with a lot of interns, and you guys are a little bit older than obviously interns, but what I've seen, and I keep saying that the new generation of these kids, it's never giving up. It's like, you guys are older than this generation, so I'm going through my new wave of interns for the summer, and things seem so easy for them, and they're like, okay, this is what I want, so why aren't I getting it now? I worked on this for 6 months. Shouldn't I be promoted and getting $100,000 now? And I'm like, you haven't done your time yet. You need to, if you want something, don't give up. You're going to get 10 no's, but that 11th might be a yes. Don't give up, no matter what it takes. And you may get impatient, you may get frustrated, but usually the ones that hang in there and think outside the box, and my husband's into football, so if you can't, it doesn't work going in straight in, try from the side, pass it, run it. Keep trying, and sooner or later you'll get to the end zone. So yes, that's what I thought.
Thank you.
It's really interesting that I don't, although we sort of knew the question last night, but we didn't really talk, but it's like, I could have said pretty much the same thing, except we're, in a different situation that both of them mentioned. When I was in college, then the most important thing was I wanted to be the best student in the class and get my PhD and get a very successful career. And then I realized that when I saw my friends in the scientific and technology field, and they got the degree and they went out and worked for industries, they either making bombs and rockets and weapons, and I know that time, building the stealth bomber was a big deal, our national secret that time. And then I find out all our friends, when they get together and talk about what they do, and they couldn't talk about it, okay? The top secret, classified. So the most exciting thing, for those of us that were in college, was trying to get those guys drunk and see if they can spill the secret on what they really work on, okay? That to me was not something that I want to spend 10, 12 years getting an advanced degree and work in something that you couldn't talk about, even to your family for the rest of their lives, okay? So, although the opportunity came for me to enter the business world, but it was because I didn't find that career satisfying. And contrary to Julie's mention, I thought money was pretty important. But after, because it's important because really it's a measure of, it's a reward for your hard work.
Yeah.
Okay, because nobody is going to pat you in the back when you do your best. But if you are, you have money, then people recognize, that's a measure of success. But, how much money can I spend? After you have a comfortable life, a decent house to live in, and provide your family, kids good education. That's about what I need. And it was really that I got involved in, when I first started out, organizing a lot of Asian immigrants to enter the toy industry. I mean, we weren't part of the city plan. We didn't get any support, and it was satisfying because there's a group of Asian that is, were not expected to be successful. Immigrants from different, Asian countries. And they organized, not only were they successful in business, when you grow your business, and you're not part of the establishment, one of the problems you face is that the government does not know what you do. So when they saw a lot of people coming downtown to do business, the first thing they do was that they want to make sure that all these people are not allowed to park in the streets, because then you clog up traffic. Okay, that's a very basic, need for survival. And to work that out, you really need to organize and have your voice heard. And start complaining, and you realize that complaining as an individual is never, as effective as complaining as a group. So, and when I mentioned about outside the box, when we started the business, and many of my customers at the time were also immigrants that they came, we did business, and they start as we grew, they start growing, and a lot of them said, I want to do what you do. Can I, because we were investing in real estate downtown, and they said, can you rent me your warehouse so that I can open my business next to you to compete for your customers?
At least they're honest about it.
Actually, I thought that was a pretty good idea. And I could correct rent from them, okay? And then allow me to expand and invest in other things. And I had no idea what I did then would attract that much attention. There were economists from Harvard or whatever start writing an economic development strategy they call industrial clusters and sectoral initiative about how putting business together and for mutual benefit and grow. And they always use me as an example. Okay, so I had more publicity than I ever imagined. It was something that I thought was pretty straightforward. I didn't know, I didn't expect Fortune magazine to write 2 articles about what I did and how unusual that was in The Economist and New York Times and pretty much every business televisions. To me, that I was able to make a difference. That was satisfying, and that got me connected to the Asian community. I find out what the needs are and what we can do as a group, right? Stewart mentioned that I was the chair of the Chamber of Commerce, and it was until I got there, it was pretty much a ceremonial thing, right? The staff actually give you a script of every meeting, and I didn't think that was very exciting. And one thing they never did, they never done, was to be politically involved. And when I suggested the Chamber of Commerce, if they want to be effective advocating for business, they should set up a PAC, a political action committee, which means that you really endorse candidates and support them, right? So when I suggest that idea, so I formed a committee, and I was the only one on that committee, right? So I told them I would interview candidates and endorse them. I was the only one making interviews and endorse them, right? And then the staff just told me that if you endorse certain candidates, you really need to notify the ones that you did not endorse ahead of time. You say, since you make the decision, you call the candidates that you didn't think would qualify for the job, and we're going to congratulate the ones that we. And I say, okay, since it was my thing, so I pick up the phone and talk to the elected official. You could guess wrong, okay? You could pick the wrong choice, and I have to explain to people that I work with, people that are well respected, and why. Normally when you, on behalf of an organization, you can always blame the board and blame the committee, right? But I was the only one in the committee. So actually, from that type of experience, it really taught me how to work with people that disagree with you on philosophical and political terms, okay? And I just want to finish with this one incident, because as since we got involved in politics, then when the media realized that when there's a controversial issue, they want the business debate the labor, right? So they would look around and say, why don't you do it? I mean, I think, if you're the chairman, somebody wants you to do something, I'm not going to hide, right? So I end up debating the union chiefs, and sometimes argument could get pretty hot, okay? But I have learned since that no matter how much you disagree, you should always respect them, listen to them, and when the discussion is finished, you want to make sure that you can work together on things you believe in. I remember every time when there's a civic project that required business and union to work together, and all the business folks then say, who's going to work with the head of the AFL-CIO locally? He said, nobody wanted to. From the business community, say, why don't you do it? And then they wonder, how did you manage that relationship? I mean, it's very simple, okay? I disagree with them, but I'm honest about why we disagree with them, but it was never a disrespect. One last thing, I remember that when I became the chair of chamber, they use that, usually they use that occasion to raise a lot of money, right? You raise, maybe $1 million, $500,000, just honoring the chair, right? So there was one politician that even became before I became the chair, was the current Secretary of Labor. And when I became before I even involved in the Chamber of Commerce, because she was really rising from the St. Gabriel Valley as a politician where a lot of Chinese American live. I don't even remember when we started. We became pretty good friends, okay? And when I got more involved in the chamber, I always invite her to events. And she told me that, you guys, I would never go to the Chamber of Commerce event, My supporters would kill me if they find out I'm with you, right? So I said, I understand, but I always, every time we do things, I always, not on my official schedule, I always take the time to visit with her. So during this inaugural dinner, so this woman walked up to me, she looked different now, and she said, I would never want to get caught coming to a Chamber of Commerce event. This is Congresswoman Hilda Solis at the time. But you are my friend. I'm here for you. I said, don't you tell anybody. Don't you tell anybody that I'm here. But but I'm here for you, okay? I think that's a small gesture, how people think about you. To me, that's more satisfying than making $1 million in a short period of time. And that's because what people think of you, how you would listen and respect other people when they do the same for you.
Thank you, Charlie.
I just want to say one thing about, when I hear everybody talking, since we're talking about success, if you notice, it's not just about one job, and for some of us that make a lot of money doing it, or one job, where you're successful. These guys are, and I feel like the committee members I've met, that how do you define success? They're well-rounded. It's not just about the family or just about their job or just about volunteering. It's a combination of everything that kind of fills your life to make you whole. And I think that's truly what success is all about.